Hello, it's John, the old geek, and I'm back with another old school AD&D module review. Tonight I'm going to be reviewing N1 Against the Cult of the Reptile God. Terror by night, the village of Orlane is dying. Once a small and thriving community, Orlane has become a maze of locked doors and frightened faces. Strangers are shunned, trade has withered. Rumours flourish, growing wilder with each retelling. Terrified peasants flee their homes, abandoning their farm with no explanation. Others simply disappear. Damn, that could be the basis for a great Call of Cthulhu scenario, but in this case it's the cover intro blurb for this module, AD&D module N1 Against the Cult of the Reptile God, which was written in 1982 by Douglas Niles, the first adventure in the N series, with N being short for novice. The first thing I have to say is that if this is a novice adventure, then I'm a 6'2" Adonis with a full head of hair, perfect teeth, and a Lamborghini in the garage. Sadly, none of those things are true. But more of that problem later. As was typical of the day, the adventure came as a 32-page booklet with a cardboard outer cover featuring one of the main maps, that being the village of Orlane itself. There are a number of other maps in the booklet, and all of the maps involved are clean and appealing, especially the village map, though there is a glaring error in one of the maps as it has a maze with no exit. Artwork in general is a bit of a mixed bag, from an atmospheric cover piece through some entertaining action scenes to a few almost farcical pieces displaying a couple of the creatures. It's inconsistent. Somewhat unusually for the products from early 80s TSR USA, the combination of writing quality and organisation in this module is actually very good. The main body of the adventure is logically divided into 3 clear chapters, and the text is easy to follow. The first chapter covers the party's arrival in the village of Orlane. Descriptions of the town locations and some expected events are in there. Chapter 2 is weaker. It's a sorely underdeveloped wilderness trek to the enemy lair, consisting just of a very basic map and some suggested random encounters. But Chapter 3 is a lot more meaty and details the lair of the eponymous cult. Text is succinct and helpful throughout, giving clear descriptions, stats and motives of all involved. So what is this module about? Well, the title is a bit of a giveaway. Having arrived in Orlane for whatever reasons the DM chooses, the default is to find a missing merchant, the party find the place to be more than a little odd. Some people are friendly, some are nervous, some are rude, but the general air is one of fear, at least from the innocent. Some buildings stand abandoned and nobody is willing or able to explain exactly why. The aim is for adventurers to talk to people and slowly unravel the clues that pertain to what is going on. There's a lot of NPCs, and the scope for role-playing here is immense. But the party need to tread carefully, as a misplaced word to the wrong person will attract unwanted attention. Gradually, they need to win the trust of certain key individuals, and inevitably at some point all hell will break loose. There's a potential for a lot of combat in the Orlane section, and much of it is very, very tough for a novice party. Once Chapter 1 is complete, and the party have learned where they need to go, it is time for a short trek to the lair, and then loads more combat in Chapter 3. Now, Orlane is an extremely well-crafted village, and a group who enjoy focusing on the roleplay pillar of gaming can easily get absorbed here. There's the potential for the first chapter of the module to stretch over several lengthy sessions. In fact, the module as a whole contains a lot of meat, and how it all comes to the table is heavily dependent on the skill of the DM and how they control the cogs of the module. Tough combat. Party need to be cautious. Loads of NPCs. A module with many moving parts. And this is supposed to be a novice module. Novice it is not by any stretch of the imagination. Against the Cult of a Reptile God is a challenging adventure to both play and run, and its release as the first in the End series was utterly inappropriate. It suggests a party of 4 to 7 characters of levels 1 to 3. I believe it is best played by about 5 characters of level 2. The last time I ran it, my players had a pool of 10 first level PCs. They operated in 2 groups of 5. One group out investigating while the other stayed at an inn. And my reasoning for that was that due to the adventure being deadly, having a spare PC in the village would make life logistically much more simple. As it turned out, 6 of the 10 PCs died. 5 in the village of Orlane itself, and 1 in the final fight of the adventure. There are 3 other key criticisms that often get dredged up. Firstly, the party are overly dependent on a certain NPC in order to have a chance of success. Now, this complaint is fair, though on the 4 occasions I've run it, none of the players have ever had an issue with that. The second is a technicality drawn from the AD&D rules. The priests from the cult are able to cast spells, but as their so-called deity is in fact fake and very much mortal, then by the rules of the game their spells shouldn't be available to them. My opinion on this complaint? It's not the serious issue that some grogs make it out to be. Yes, the basic framework of official modules should generally follow the accepted framework of the rules around which they're designed. But I'm quite happy as a DM to hand-wave away those oddities in favour of fun. The third problem is a little more serious though. As I mentioned earlier, the title of the adventure is a huge spoiler. With so much of the adventure devoted to investigation, the cause of the problem is spelled out by the name of it. The townsfolk are nervous. People are disappearing. What could be the cause? Well, the adventure is called Against the Cult of the Reptile God. I wonder if that has anything to do with it. In my overall opinion though, all those criticisms pale into insignificance when the adventure is played, especially when run by a competent DM for a patient and attentive group. The structure and pace of this module is such that it is thoroughly rewarding. Despite being light on puzzles, the scope for roleplay is substantial, a rarity in modules of this era. Add to that an array of creative locations and situations, and the likelihood of plenty of highly challenging and varied combat, and you have what I believe to be the third of the 3 great early low-level modules, alongside U1 and T1. As a little footnote to the review, a recent running of this module resulted in one of the most amusing role-playing moments I can remember. One player had a stereotypical dwarf fighter who loved gold, ale, and more gold. The character was a breath of fresh air, as it has almost become a stereotype to not adhere to those old tropes. They found some statues. These were cursed. If anyone touches them and fails the save, a random attribute is dropped to 3. On seeing those statues, the player exclaims, "Gold! I grab a statue!" and he fails the save. Then rolls to see which stat is dropped. Intelligence. So his intelligence is now 3. He continues with, "I shake my head, try to comprehend what just happened, and find it hard. Where am I? What do I see?" I tell him, "Your comrades are looking at you with curious but somewhat nervous expressions. You're in a hallway lined with golden statues." To which he replies, "Gold! Gold statues! I grab one!" Cue everyone rolling around laughing. It was perfect role-playing and highly amusing. So, what about that all-important overall rating? I'm going to give this module a high 8 out of 10. About 8.5. Not quite 9. It does have little flaws, the ones I mentioned earlier, but it is so damn good and something different and well worth a look. Well, this has been John, the Old Geek, once again. I do hope you've enjoyed this review tonight, and until next time, good night.